Hello and howdy ho everyone. Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV full story playthrough. In the last episode, we confronted Vothri at the top of Mount Gulg. We destroyed him, the final Lightwarden. But in the process, we may have lost the Crystal Exarch, revealed to be none other than our old friend G'raha Tia, who at one point slumbered in the Crystal Tower. Now, we are barely hanging on. The light has returned to the sky, though you can't really see it very well from inside the Crystarium. And our soul, well, it's starting to break apart from all the light. We're on borrowed time now. We have to find a solution, and quickly. But Bragi has been worried about us. Well, well, look who's back from the dead. Aye, it was a grim sight. Your companions looked fair ready to drop when they brought you in, so I offered a helping hand. Couldn't bear to see them struggle so. And you, my friend, I feared you had one foot in the grave. Cold and lifeless you were, like a corpse that was somehow still breathing. Then they told me some evil bastard went and snatched our poor Exarch away in the midst of the chaos. Wicked White, what is this world coming to? Ah, but moaning never solved a thing, did it? Nay, it's times like these that we Crystarium folk stand tall and do what needs to be done. Trade with Yulmore is back on the table. We'd best make use of those resources to fortify the city against the Eaters, or whatever misery the fates deem to throw at us next. Speaking of misery, Chesamil was worried sick about you. A healer wringing her hands is not a sight you ever wish to see, let me tell you. Right. We've made so many friends here in Norvrant. Let's go and assure her that we're, well, maybe we're not doing fine, but we'll survive for the moment. Oh, sweetie, you're alive. No one's been allowed to see you. Even Spayuric chirurgeons were forbidden from making visits. Reen was kind enough to tell me you were showing symptoms similar to Eater corruption, so I suppose there was little any of us could have done for you in any case. As for your companions, they've been rushing hither and yon, seeking a cure to your condition. I worry to see their faces grown ever more haggard every time they pass through the Crystarium. I shall let them know you're awake. And when they come to see you, sweetie, please do convince them to rest a bit. They won't be helping anyone if they all collapse off exhaustion. And our own Morin has been little better, I'm afraid. He hasn't left the cabinet, too busy with his nose buried in one dusty tome or another. Everyone's working to save me, it seems. Well, let's go check out the cabinet. Maybe it'll help him a little to see that I'm not dead. Oh, Morin. Confound it, this is the same thing as the last. Maybe I should approach the problem from a different perspective. Foxy! Is it truly you and not some figment of my imagination? Oh, but this is wonderful. So it seems my prayers have been answered. Feeling otherwise helpless, I have been scouring our shelves for the wisdom to explain this most worrisome conundrum. Why, with all the Lightwardens defeated, has the light returned to obscure the sky? I must have pored over 100 tomes, but no definitive conclusion seems forthcoming. So many questions I would pose to the Exarch, and thus do I feel his absence all the more keenly. Now that you're awake, however, I am hopeful the search for our stolen steward might begin in earnest. Catelys, meanwhile, leads the crystalline mean in preparations for battle, though against what foe we are as yet uncertain. Why not pay her a visit? I expect seeing you upright would be a much welcome relief. All these people we haven't really visited since the beginning of Shadowbringers. Mostly due to a lack of time. There's been so much to do. Foxy, alive and well, I see. You gave us all a proper fright, you know that. Not a day's gone by that I haven't heard folk worrying what's to become of you or the Exarch. Anyway, I'm glad you've recovered enough to stand. You're not planning on striking out straight away, though, are you? I was hoping to have a better look at your equipment. If we'd been able to provide you with better weapons or sturdier helms, then maybe you would have won the day and the Exarch would still be here. As such, we're keeping busy consulting each other on new forging techniques and designs and the like. If you could stand still a moment, I'd like to assess the gear you are trying to improve. Aye, well, that's some fine work, I must admit. It wouldn't be impossible to make something better, but we'd need to experiment with different patterns and materials, and I'm not sure we have that kind of time. That sounds like a challenge that he would enjoy. Greetings, Glynard. The master of the stairs is running his own errands now, is he? Aye, well, my servers are distraught enough as it is, and I didn't want to crack the whip too hard. But never mind that. I'm thinking our absent genius and his epiphanies are the perfect answer to this predicament of yours. And by genius you mean old Grenold. He is a man of unrivaled gifts, I won't argue with you there. But what good does his talent do us if we can't bloody find him? No one's seen hide nor hair of Grenold since he wandered off some years ago. You know what he is like. Once he latches onto an idea, he's probably cloistered himself in some forgotten cave, completely absorbed in his latest creation. I wouldn't even know where to start looking. That does make things difficult. Still, if that eccentric is someone you're destined to meet, I wager he'll show up soon enough. In my time at the bar, many's the tale I've heard of strangely fated encounters, even if a few of them might be stretching the truth just a bit. We'll keep our noses to the grindstone for the time being, but on the off chance you do encounter Grenold, it'd be wise to take advantage of his brilliance rather than wait on our slow and steady progress. This is all talk for when you're fully recovered, of course. I'll let you get back to convalescing, eh? Before you do that, you're actually the reason I came over here in the first place. I don't suggest partaking of my stock until you're properly well, but if you're passing near the stairs, and I have a regular who's eager to meet you. I'd best be getting back. Just because the world's coming apart at the seams doesn't mean we have to follow suit now, does it? Here, here. We can't forget the heart upon which this city was founded, or the Exarch might not have much of a home to return to. Foxy, are you alright? I think a return to your sickbed might be in order. Or you might consider resting a while atop the watchtower next to the rookery. This damnable sky doesn't make for the most soothing scenery, but the Exarch often liked to stand there and feel the wind upon his face. Maybe. But I was told there's a regular at the bar who wants to see me. I don't see any quests there, but, well, maybe I'll check that out before I go anywhere else. Alright, so that wound up being nothing. I'm not sure what he was referring to. Maybe there was a point where you couldn't do your final role quests until this point in the story. I can't truly remember, but either way, there's nothing to do but feel the wind upon our face. Though the scenery leaves much to be desired.
The people of this city have spirit, I'll give them that. They've not lost the will to fight. I can imagine how torn you must feel, looking at that sky, knowing what it means to everyone, and that you're responsible.
I guess you would know how that feels. Secrecy is worse. I'd rather people knew, or I still can't believe it's coming from me, or it's all such a mess. I think that's the most honest answer.
Aye. An all too familiar one. Here you stand alone, expecting no one else to bear the burden for you. You're in a corner, and there doesn't seem to be any obvious way out. But that doesn't mean it's over. However hopeless it seems, you haven't lost yet. I remember looking up at the sky like this before. Being caught up in a strange kind of calm. It was after we realized we were responsible for the flood. When we resolved to journey to the source by taking our own lives. One last sacrifice. One last fight. One last failure. And then the Oracle appeared and... well, you know the rest. There were times in the years and decades that followed when I wondered if we might not have been better off just letting the rejoining happen. That we'd made one last mistake. But seeing that giant Talos stir to life cured me of any doubts I still had. Always we took the burden of fighting upon ourselves. That's what heroes do, isn't it? So we never had the chance to see anything like that. Our people coming together as one. To think that their hope still burned so bright. That they were still so eager to live, they would lift up their fellows, one on top of the other, till they reached the sky. No. We made the right decision. And I can finally feel proud of the part we played in helping this world survive. Well, come on then.
You're a real bro, Artbert.
As I thought. What happened between us was no coincidence. My story may be finished, but the fates have gifted me a minor role in yours. I suspected as much the moment I realized you could hear me. But it's hard not to doubt yourself when you're the man who caused the flood. I was afraid to do anything more than watch for fear of making things even worse. But no longer. After all, the path I once walked is now yours to finish. For what it's worth, I cast my lot with yours. If you need a push, I'll be right there behind you. If you lose control, I'll do my best to stop you. So, let us be about it, hero.
worried you were up here all alone, brooding and fretting and wallowing in your woes. But look at you, grinning at nothing like a pollen-drunk pixie.
Hello, friend.
Look at what you've done to your ether. It's a mess. And you have cracks running all through that pretty soul of yours. My poor little sapling. Whatever am I to do with you?
I'm sorry, my friend.
Shall I yield up my throne? You could claim it, cut ties with the mortal world, hide away in the castle. It won't fix the problem, but would it really matter? If any pesky heroes come calling with steel and magic, all of Il Meg will rise up in your defense. My crown and scepter are yours, if you want them. What? Don't give me that look! Of course I knew before I asked that you'd never ever heed such a wicked suggestion. And besides, what would become of my precious and ephemeral flower? Oh, my dear beloved sapling, you are lost, confused, and have precious little time to gather your wits. Your kind is always so preoccupied with what lies ahead, and so we muddle your vision with fog and glamour. But such trickery is easy to see through. Stand very, very still. Think not of where you need to go, but where you are right now at this moment, at this time, in this place. Our cairn of crystal. From shadowed hood he watched you go, his ruby eyes with warmth aglow. See yourself as he saw you, and that shall be the clearest clue. You stand in his garden, dear sapling. Ask his flowers what they know, and you will surely find an answer. But what will you do with it, I wonder? I'll be watching and waiting. Waiting and watching.
Well, I think Thea's helped us in their own cryptic way. Who's a more precious flower than Lena? I think that's where we're gonna need to go. But there are other people who could clearly answer some questions. Oh, I did not expect to see you on your feet so soon. Surely you have not come in search of an Amaro. No, I'm here to ask about the Exarch. What do I know of the Crystal Exarch? I'm happy to share, but I fear there will be no surprising revelations. As any in this city could tell you, he is a man of wisdom and compassion and many untold secrets. But none can doubt his generosity. When the Crystarium was being constructed, he even allowed folk to plunder the tower for resources. He's imposed no restrictions upon us but one. No one except the Exarch is permitted to dwell within the spire. Many seasons past, a comrade of mine was bold enough to ask the reason why. The Exarch merely smiled and said, because one day the Crystal Tower may vanish as suddenly as it arrived. Well, now we know why. This is the very same tower as the one that we have in the source, except perhaps from a different time. Or maybe a different reality altogether. Foxy! It's good to see you awake and alert, my friend. What's this about? You're not writing the Exarch's memoirs, are you? I'm not sure how much I can tell you, considering we avoid asking too many questions, unspoken rule and all that. If anyone has fresh insights to share, and it'd be Captain Lena, I'd say. She lost her parents to an aether attack not long after she was born, and the Exarch saw to her upbringing. Outward appearances aside, those two are like grandfather and granddaughter. I imagine the news of his predicament hit her doubly hard. Not that our proud captain would ever let it show. If you do decide to talk to Lena, she'll be at her usual post at the XIV gate. That's what I figured. Lena is going to be the one to show us the way. But we can always go to the cabinet, just to see if Morin knows anything. Oh, was there something else you needed? If you've come for the results of my research into this persistent light, I'm afraid there's little to tell as of yet. Records pertaining to the Exarch? Well, I need no documentation to relay what little I know of his history, if that's what interests you. Ahem. Less than a decade had passed since the coming of the Flood, when the Crystal Tower first flashed into existence. Its summoner, the Exarch himself, became known to the refugees in Lakeland soon thereafter. He welcomed all who sought out the spire, be they locals who had lost their homes, or Vobatites fleeing their ruined kingdom, and together did they found the city which would become the Crystarium. Some thought to call him King, for he refused to share his name, but the summoner did not deem himself worthy of royal address. Thus did the people consider his scintillating skin so alike to the tower he had summoned, and bestowed upon him the title of Crystal Exarch. As for his true name, well, 'twould seem that is a mystery that remains unsolved to this day. To some, maybe. We know it all too well. Let's go and find Miss Lena. I'm sure she'll have something to say. Foxy, I was not told you had awoken. A welcome surprise. Now if only the Exarch was returned to us. He was taken by this rival of yours, was he not? Your companions mentioned that they had an idea of where to find him, and so I bristled when they asked for patience. I did not understand their hesitation until I saw that you had fallen. Only then did I realize that I had no business rushing ahead. Even so, the delay has been no less agonizing. In the moments before he left to join you in Kalusha, the Exarch entrusted me with a key. It opens a door in the ocular to a chamber known as the Umbilicus. This room is the heart of the tower, into which only the Exarch himself is permitted to enter. He bid me allow none to enter the tower once he had departed. Only in the event that an army of eaters descended upon the city was I to access the Umbilicus and awaken the defensive barrier. Never before had he left me with such instructions, but the battle with Vothri loomed near, and at the time I accepted the key without much thought. Since then, however, that moment is all that occupies my mind. When I recall the look upon his face, he knew that some terrible fate awaited him. Tell me, Foxy, I need to know what he feared. What battle you and your companions are truly fighting? I think she deserves to know. No? Apparently not. Forgive me. I trust in the Exarch, and I should not be voicing these doubts when he is not here to respond to them personally. But you have come to me with a question of your own, have you not? Ah, I see I'm not the only one who burns for answers. The time has come to open the tower's heart. Though we do not face an invasion of eaters, I suspect the city will be in far more danger if you do not gain the knowledge you seek. Yeah. I don't think Graha was expecting continued hostilities. He was expecting to be dead already. Come, meet me in the ocular, and I will unlock the door within. Let's go and see what Graha's been hiding from us. Mistress Foxy, the captain said to expect you.
I have unlocked the door to the umbilicus. You are free to enter. Once you have what you require, I'll see it sealed once more. Until then, I will remain without.
Show us what we're missing, Echo.
A moment to collect my thoughts, I prithee. Thy true name is Graha, then. By thy claims, thou too art a native of the Source, though from an age beyond our own, when the 8th umbral calamity hath visited devastation upon our star. Thou hast, by subtle means, reached across the boundaries of time and space to unsow the seeds of catastrophe, ere its creeping vines drag our champion unto an early grave.
In essence, yes. A difficult story to swallow, I am sure.
I doubt not the veracity of thy words, not the account of thy coming, nor that of the fated calamity. Yet my mind straineth still to apprehend the enormity of this tale. Wouldst thou favor me with a gradual unfolding of its chapters?
Certainly. But where to begin? I should start with those great minds who survived the calamity. Sid Garland being perhaps the greatest. In hopes of staying the unending tides of war, he and his fellows pursued all manner of possible solutions. One of these was rooted in a theory which unified several fundamental principles discovered over the course of the Warrior of Light's adventures. It proposed a method by which one could enter the River of Time, traverse the rift, and leap between worlds. Perfecting that idea, however, was a work which consumed their lifetimes, and thus was it left to future generations to decide whether theory would be put into practice. But all the while, the world continued to burn. Hope was a feeble outpost, beset on all sides by thievery and misery and murder. People cried out in despair, "There is no hope! We are finished! Mankind is finished!" Then others raised their voices in answer. Though we be beyond salvation, those who came before may yet be saved. We will forge a crossroads and pave the way for a different future. By the wisdom of our forebears, we will prevent this calamity from ever having come to pass. The fighting went on unabated, but some few took up Sid's research and labored to realize those impossible ideas. After 2 centuries of labor, their descendants finally succeeded in awakening the Crystal Tower, an integral part of the process, and, in doing so, roused its caretaker, me. By this stage, scholars had largely established the phenomena underpinning the rejoining, and identified the first as the shard which precipitated the 8th umbral calamity. This grand structure was already capable of storing the energies required to attempt the translocation. All that remained was to augment some few of its functions based upon the theoretical models of Sid and his compeers.
And by means of such technologies didst thou effect thine arrival in the first, to an age before this star had joined with the Source.
Some while before, as it turned out. 'Tis all but impossible to predict how time will flow between one world and the next, and we missed our mark by almost an entire century. But this only worked in our favor. The Sin Eaters could not be defeated without the blessing of light, and summoning the only woman who might stand a chance against them would require decades of preparation.
An undertaking of scarce credible endurance. That thou hast kept thy plan from falling into disarray these many years bordereth on the miraculous. Yet howsoever history be rewritten, thy present self was shaped by events which followed the calamity. Should said catastrophe be averted, the very skein of thine existence will unravel. Surely thou hast foreseen this.
I am aware of the consequences. 'Tis for that very reason Sid and his colleagues bequeathed their legacy as an offering, and not an edict. To give all of oneself for the happiness of others, and with no promise of reward. 'Tis a hard thing to ask. Harder still for those condemned to survive in a world which pitted brother against brother. Indeed, you are right to call the execution of this plan miraculous, though the force which held it together was nothing so inexplicable. It was her. The warrior of light has been our unbroken thread. Where others would stumble and fall, she would rise above. Where others would break and run, she would carry on. The warrior of light's tale is one of unyielding bravery. To tell it was to feel courage. To hear it was to feel hope. It was a breath of inspiration in an age of suffocating shadow. In the histories of a fallen nation was our hero hailed as its greatest ally. In the time-worn pages of a noble's memoirs were her deeds joyously retold. For many, these stories were the flame which warmed them through the coldest of nights. And so it should come as little surprise that the plan found no shortage of volunteers, concerning as it did the Warrior of Light herself. It was their chance to add their own verse to the hero's saga. She was the lodestar that brought them all together, to send their final message back through time and space to her. The light of your legacy was our torch in the darkness. Burn bright again and live. I am merely the bearer of that wish, come to ensure it is safely delivered.
Wherefore sharest thou this burden with me and no other? What wouldst thou have me say?
That you will be my accomplice? 'Twas you yourself who convinced me of your suitability when you spoke of how you learned of the Flood, and of your part in arranging Minfilia's journey to the First. Your actions showed uncommon resolve. 'Twas clear you were committed to the cause of saving this world. I knew I could trust you to choose the right path forward, even if that choice came with a heavy price.
What price?
When all is said and done, and the last of the Lightwardens lies slain, I will absorb their corrupted aether, and then I will die. Knowing what I know of your companions, not to mention your champion, they will try to stop me, but in saving one, they would save none. Therefore, I implore you to aid me in concealing my identity, and ensuring this tale ends as it must. To this end, I would have you take what I have told you of the Calamity, and make of it a portent. A prophetic vision you beheld in the swirling chaos of the Rift.
Is this truly thy wish?
History remembered the Warrior of Light, as I knew it would. And I will suffer no other to rescue the champion whose star has charted my course. I will see this tale to a happy end, my friend. There has been enough tragedy.
Careful now. If you lose control again, the light could claim you for good. Although it's probably only a matter of time before you succumb to the change in any case. What do you mean to do?
I mean to have a few words with both the Emmet and the Exarch.
We should be on our way. Diassian mentioned the Tempest, did he not? That's the stormy seas around Calusia to you. His lair must be down there somewhere, hidden beneath the waves.
Oof, that cutscene always gets me. Graha is such a great character, and I'm glad they brought him back. And just, it's so well timed with the music and everything. It's such a touching scene. I love it so much. Did you find the answers you sought? If there's nothing more you need, I will go unlock the door. I have questions about the Tempest. The Tempest? That is the name given to the seas by which Calusia is bound. If you make a request to the Tamers, they will provide you with an amaro to fly over the waters, but... Do you mean to leave right this moment? Alone? I'm not sure that... Nay, I will not seek to stop you. Go with the blessings of the Shadow, and I will await your safe return. Don't worry, Lena. Not truly alone. Let's head to the Amaro launch. You require an Amaro? Just a moment, and I shall saddle our swiftest beast to fly you to the island. The open water? To the depths of the Tempest? Our Amaro can swim, yes, but to reach the ocean floor... Oh dear.
Ah, we have found thee. Word reached us of thy recovery, and thus did we gather with all haste. Ah. By thy looks, I gather thou hast gleaned that which I came to tell thee.
Urianger has shared everything with us. The Exarch's true identity and purpose.
I offer no excuses. When I agreed to aid the Exarch with his plans, 'twas in full acceptance of the condemnation I would face when my duplicity was laid bare. Yet it is not rancor, but resolve that I sense in thee. Thou art fully intent upon walking thy path to its end, art thou not? If thou canst forgive my deception, or, failing that, set aside thy displeasure for a time, I do beg leave to follow thee. What strength and wisdom I possess are thine to command.
I mean, obviously Foxy is concerned about this, but we can't leave Urianger hanging like that. And I do forgive him. I think Foxy would too.
I thank thee. Doubt not but that I will do all in my power to repay thy kindness and fulfill the Exarch's wishes.
I'm sorry, but I don't think this is a good idea. Leaving the Crystarium, I mean, with or without Urianger. What I did for you won't last forever. There's no telling when the light will break free again. Please, you must stay here, at least for a little while longer. We will find a way to cure this, I promise you.
How can you make promises? We don't even know where to start.
Alize, please. You know Reen was only trying to help.
Of course I know! I know only too well! But making promises you have no way of keeping is not a kindness. It's a lie. Plain and simple. We've all searched high and low for an answer, and every one of us came back empty-handed. I am not about to stand in her way now. Not after failing her in her hour of need. No. The least we can do is...
Oh, Alice.
We will go with you as well. There is naught to be gained by standing still.
Indeed, we have exhausted every other avenue. Lead, and we shall follow. If there is any hope to be found, then we will surely find it at your side.
Are we all in agreement, then?
Is there aught we can do to help?
Hello again, friends.
Though we may not know the whole story, we do know you're in for a fight. And while the Exarch's away, it falls to the rest of us to see the Warrior of Darkness is given a proper send-off.
You told them!
No! Well, not in so many words.
Oh,
We
Lena.
didn't need it spelled out for us. When the night sky appeared over whichever place you went to, it was harder not to put two and two together.
From the moment I heard that you and the Exarch shared the homeland, I had my suspicions. Long had he been waiting for a certain someone to arrive. And I knew at once that it must be you.
Exactly. When he went up to meet you, it was clear it was no ordinary visitor. That spring in his step spoke volumes. I could feel his excitement.
Oh, bruh, so fucking sweet.
Eat him! That's right!
That's my cat husband.
We do not fully understand where you or the Exarch hail from, or why you've all done so much to protect us. But we are deeply grateful nonetheless. So, if there is anything at all we might do to aid your journey, you need only name it. What would you have of us?
You might have invited them to join us, where there are not so many. But come, they are waiting. What is your will, O warrior of darkness?
Defend the Crystarium until we return. What? No, fuck you. Alright, friends. Now that you're all insisting on coming with me. There's nothing I can do to cleanse you of the light's corruption, but I'll do everything in my power to keep it in check. If the Warden's aether overwhelms you again, you will become a Sin Eater. So please, save your strength for when it really matters. I'll try my best. The volunteers who journeyed to Kalusia have all been safely returned to their homes. They've also assured us that they will do their best to hold the Eaters at bay in our absence. Gods know you've spent enough time charging into danger on our behalf. It's only fair that we return the favor. I once said I wanted to fight for Estinian, that I wanted to save him, not let him be sacrificed for a cause. And now I say the same to you. Oh, Alphino, you've been with me since the beginning. Just so you know, I will not look kindly on any further attempts to leave us behind. We do this together. Agreed. Thou didst plan to commandeer an Amaro for thy journey to open sea. I fear the following dive down onto Emet Selch's underwater abode would drain even thy legendary stamina. Thus, during thy convalescence, we considered the most efficacious method for reaching the depths of the Tempest, and I believe we have arrived at an elegant solution. Yet ere we discuss this step, I suggest thou dost conclude such pressing business as remains to thee in the Crystarium. Once the sea closeth above our heads, we are unlikely to surface again until our grand deed is done. That is, Urianger for you had better complete all of your role quests. Which I've done. Alrighty. Well, let's see what they've cooked up for us. Thine affairs are in order? Then I shall unfold to thee my proposal. Our destination is the ocean floor, yet our goal is not simply to arrive there. Nay, we must needs have the means to breathe and to fight freely. Thus would I petition the aid of one of the Fae, a being with whom I have yet to meet face to face. Rather than waste words on explanation, I bid thee follow me unto the hamlet of Sullen, which lieth to the south and west. All will become abundantly clear, I promise thee. A Fae that we have yet to meet. In the town of Sullen, which is fucking far, but that's okay, because we can fly in Lakeland. We can fly just about everywhere in Norvrant now. There's only one place that we have yet to find, and gee, I wonder where that's gonna be. We've only been talking about it for the past half an hour. The place's name is Weed. God damn it. Well, We're here. There, to the west. Canst thou discern the hump of an isle rising above the water? That foliage-covered mass hideth the key to our safe descent. Swim close and plunge thee beneath the surface. Thou shalt soon divine the reason for mine insistence. Though it be much to my shame, I can but flail and flounder where thou mayest glide as a fish. I shall board a boat to the island, and spare one and all the spectacle of mine inept strokes. Oh, Urianger can't swim either! Oh, I bet even Alphino swims better than Urianger by his account. Well, anyway, it looks like we're swimming. That's what I would say if I intended on swimming. Why swim when you can fly? Now, he did say to dive under the water. This looks strange. That almost looks like an eye. Two curved slabs of rock seem squeezed together here, giving the impression of giant stone eyelids. Indeed they do. What a curious look. What's over here? Though it appears solid enough, the rock yields slightly under your touch. Was the surface gently shifting, or was it just your imagination? There's something strange about this island. Something very lifelike. Where, oh where? Ah, there's Urianger. Alice, Thancred, Reen. Let's talk to everybody. This lake is enormous. Assuming my geography is correct, this would be the mirror of Silvertear back in the source, though the size hardly compares. I guess it would, come to think of it. I never really thought of it like that. The locals call this the Isle of Ken, which I presume must refer to knowledge. Either that, or someone was being awfully zealous about marking his territory. And with such a plain name. Even seeing it up close, I'm still not sure what's so special about this island. Where's Alphino? Where's Y'shtola? Oh well. Well, what hast thou discerned? I've discerned that it's an ordinary island, or it reminds me of a certain primal, or it's just like the big one. Yes, yes. It does remind me of a certain primal. Most perceptive. According to the lore of the Pixies, we are, even now, perched upon the back of an ancient Fey entity. Its name is Bismarck. Aye, the self-same title by which we know the great feathered whale revered by the Vanu Vanu of the Source. I would enlist its aid to bear us unto the deep, and thence banish the water with an airy sphere, alike in form to the domes which do shelter the hamlets neath the Ruby Sea. Within its compass we may move unencumbered, and defend ourselves when the hour of battle cometh, as it most surely shall. Now, I must needs ask for silence while I make my supplication.
Wir Sach, Bilan Bismail. Fallen si lor wislan. Ada si alinal.
Van Aslir, Olfothim, Iri Guath Thi.
Oh dear. I don't need to speak Fae to know that didn't go well.
We need Faoul.
Oh, my snake yak! You've learned to call me at last! And where do you go? On a trip? A journey? I knew you wouldn't give up without a fight. Oh, my precious mortal, I shall help you in any way I can.
Then wake up this big lazy whale.
Ges bismel win picked. Van dromi drom Jacob. Van red rithje.
Ahai Una, Sahawin Wisk. Isnerim, Sur Yerlo.
Be sure to scrub this one's teeth for him upon your return. It's only good manners.
It will be done, Your Majesty. Our deepest thanks for your timely intervention.
An agreement is reached and your departure is at hand. You wingless ones best hold on tight. May the blessings of the Fae keep you safe, Inba.
Lo Vallo Ruis. Vanin Narsitar. Dir Sitagnai.
And what a sight for anyone who happened to be in that village.
And just like that, it's all gone back to the way it was.
What was you expecting? 100 years of honey and rainbows? Seeing them Yulmore types wake up and smell the ashes was miracle enough for me.
Ah, with the magic in the air when that ladder started moving. And when that great hulking Talos rose up. Gods. I could live 1,000 years and never behold anything so amazing.
Oh, you poor soul.
What the? Do you see that?
What a monster! Where did it even come from?
Uh-oh.
Whoa there!
It's not stopping. Run! Run!
Surely they'll be okay.
Lo Vanana Ana. Tilden Sito. Iri Halbsi. Thunne. Aktva Thonyasni.
the word right out of my mouth.
The breath of Bismarck. See how it swells to form a dome beneath the waves? The waters recede. The tempest's floor is laid bare. In defiance of the blinding sky, this place holds fast to its gloom. The last refuge of he who denies the light with every fiber of his being. You stand at the precipice, hero. Journey unto the heart of darkness. Finish it.
What an absolutely beautiful set piece this place is. Let's have a chat. I remember being impressed by the domes of the Ruby Sea, but this makes them look like bubbles in a stream. Bismarck must be powerful indeed to create a dome of this size. I can only pray to whichever gods are listening that it continues to hold. This is amazing! I can't even see the surface! With all that water out of the way, we'll be able to venture quite some distance. Emet Selch must be hiding around here somewhere. I dare say Urianger endured much playful attention from the pixies to learn the lore of Bismarck. He is nothing if not a dedicated scholar. Oh yeah, they probably harassed him daily while he was trying to learn. Full glad am I that Bismarck was true to his word. We are arrived in the Tempest, safe and dry. 'Tis here that we shall find the lair of Emet Selch and, I believe, the imprisoned Exarch as well. For an Ascian alone, it is of course a trifling matter to flee unto the rift, yet I suspect such travel is nigh impossible with a mortal in one's custody. Nay, he would not soon risk his prize when the Exarch's very body serveth as the key to the Crystal Tower and its powers of temporal transportation. Thus am I all but certain that this underwater realm harboureth our friend and enemy both. We have but to find them. Well, that's heartening. In the event that you leave the area, speak with Inuel at Venmont Yards in Kalusia to return to the Tempest. Well, we don't plan on leaving. Come, let us begin our search. Now, as for where we should be looking, I rather doubt Emet Selch will be sitting around out in the open. I propose we follow the slope down towards the deeper trenches and keep an eye out for rock formations large enough to house a stronghold. That's a good idea. Let's be off then, but watch your footing. The ground is still wet and like to be slippery. Notably, we cannot fly in the Tempest. Not yet. It has its own set of ether currents. We don't know how many yet, but I presume it's going to be the same number as any other. It also has an aetherite. There is an ether current nearby. I'd very much like to get it. There it is. Very nice music down here, too. Stola. The ocean... Oh, fucking hell. It's gonna interrupt me. What did you just do? Did you attack that leech? Wait. It gave itself a buff by eating something else. I didn't know these things did that. Huh. Alright, why don't I have my chocobo out? He needs to have some fun. Anyway, before I was rudely interrupted... The ocean floor is a strange place to be, of course, but this aether... 'tis like naught I've ever seen. Something strange about this place, then. I think Thancred has the right idea, but I can't help wondering what Emet Selch will be doing down here without the aid of gills and fins. That's a good point. Unless he has some kind of deep-sea stronghold. This outcrop seemeth natural enough. So no, he's not hiding right where we emerge. Wouldn't that be convenient? I will of course be hunting for aether currents while I'm down here, but you guys won't have to see all of that. I will say, however, that we are standing basically on the precipice of the end of the initial Shadowbringers main story quest. There are, of course, patch quests and the like. There are quite a few patch quests, and they're all really, really good. So, even though it seems like things are coming to an end, take heart in the fact that it's truly only just the beginning. Oh. It's one of the Ondo. The first's, answer to the Sahagin. He's not looking too well. Uh-oh. I think we scared him. The Undo Cups. Feeding our people is more a challenge these days. With every catch there are fewer fish, and so we must consider alternatives. But one thing we will never consider is leaving this place. It is our sole refuge from the killing light in the depths. The killing light, huh? In the depths, no less. God, don't tell me there's a Lightwarden down here, too. I will say one thing. Grab that aetherite first. The finless ones! They followed me! Why have you come? Was it you who took away our water? Well, technically, yes. Ah, so this is where the Ondo make their home, I had wondered. Pray forgive us any inconvenience we have caused. We were not aware your people lived here in the Tempest. We need this great dome of air that we might conduct a most urgent search, and thus beg you for your understanding. Chieftain, what are we to do? Are you emissaries of the Ancient Ones? The mysteries have stirred. We have seen the illuminated land shining through the gloom of the abyss. If you are the emissaries, the chosen, I bid you welcome. If you are not, I bid you leave. I am not sure I understand. Would you be willing to elaborate? It would seem not. I suggest we withdraw for the moment. So there's something else down here, it would seem. So what's the plan? Given your condition, I'm reluctant to suggest lingering here. That said, our presently meandering search could proceed far more swiftly if we could call upon the Ondo's local knowledge. Yes, I'd like to know more about this illuminated land the chieftain spoke of. Could it be Emet Selch's stronghold, do you suppose? Perhaps he lit the lanterns upon his return? We cannot dismiss the possibility, but these Ondo refuse to speak with us. Foxy, do you remember my first scheme for entering Yulmore? How I had planned to ingratiate myself by offering lucrative trading opportunities with the Ondo? The individual I dealt with was reticent in a manner and curious in custom, but we were able to reach an agreement nonetheless. I believe that with the right approach we can build a similar relationship here. What kind of approach did you have in mind? That chieftain fellow didn't leave us many options. If we are to tread the swiftest course, then we must needs locate its beginning. 'Tis plain our all-too-dramatic arrival hath thrown this settlement into confusion. Were we to solve such problems as we have caused, and assure our hosts thereby that our purpose here is not inimical to them, they may yet prove amenable to reason. I smell chores, but very well, if it can be done quickly. What do you think? I've nothing better to offer, but I do worry what will happen if the Undo's tales end up leading us to a dead end. And we don't have much of a choice. I cannot say for certain, but I sense this tribe has a deeper connection to the Ascians than first meets the eye. It warrants further investigation, thus I cast my vote in favor of aiding the settlement for the time being. Who will make allies of the Undo? Then it is settled. Y'shtola, pray proceed with your investigations. The rest of us will see about fostering some goodwill. I love Thancred's reaction. I smell chores. That's exactly it. Alright. Let's start looking. You are Alphino's friend. Foxy, you won't believe who I just bumped into. This is Posh's own, the very fellow I did business with prior to our ill-fated stay in Yulmore. I waited and you did not come. Then the Mistel came, but his visit did not continue. I am truly sorry, Posh's own. Things did not proceed as planned. Is there aught we can do for you by way of an apology? Perhaps. Where the Dry return, a cavern to the north, is home to giant crabs. We do not fear the crab, for we are the swifter swimmers. But now there is no water. We run and they scuttle close behind, snipping and snapping with their claws. There are too many of them. Too many. Ah, I believe I can be of assistance there. And what of you, Foxy? If you've not found a task, then you are welcome to join me. Indeed, I should appreciate the company. Where the Dry return has a rather ominous ring to it. Well, technically I've already been there to grab an aether current, but I suppose we can go back. You know, for a friend. Well, here's the place. And there are indeed crabs here. Big crabs. Angry crabs. You know, just looking at them makes me want seafood. Get over here, you crab bastard. And that's 3. And this place is huge, so we're just gonna teleport. Any of our other friends around? Looks like they're off doing chores. Y'shtola's here, though. Yeah, as I suspected. You gonna elaborate on that? No? Okay. You could crack their shells. You must be stronger than you look. I see you've reached your quota first again. I shall never be your equal in such tasks. You're better at talking and healing, Alphino. Still, I would say we have reduced the local crab population to a far less threatening number. My thanks to both of you. You must have a reward. Nay, Pash-On, this was to be a part of my apology to you, remember? Besides which, the lack of water is our doing, for which we must also make amends. Might I convince you to tell us something about your village instead? I would very much like to learn more of you and your people. Very well. Before the flood came, it is said our ancestral home was found in the seas to the south. It was utterly destroyed by the light. Even the deep sea wasn't spared. Only those who were out hunting survived. They swam aimless and lost until they spied buildings here on the ocean floor. Strange buildings they were, and long had they stood under the water, yet somehow they had been spared the scars of time and current. These structures provided shelter for my people, protection from the tempest's turbulent waters, and the predators which hunted within them. Their very existence seemed a miracle. The first settlers pondered their good fortune. It was clear that the race who had built such wonders had guided their course, and from this did they discern the truth. That the ancients had chosen us to serve as caretakers of their eternal sanctuary, until such time as they returned. Thus, if it is judged that your coming, and this great vanishing of water, was by the ancients' design, you will find warm welcome here. A truly astonishing story, yet I cannot help but wonder, how will the significance or otherwise of our arrival be decided? The ancients have blessed us with protection and prosperity. If your presence serves to bring us the same, there will be no doubt in the matter. Then it would seem our earlier discussion was the correct one. We thank you for the lesson, Pash-Un, and we will continue to do all we can to assist your people. Should you desire our help with any other trouble, pray do not hesitate to ask. We should return to the task at hand, only do try not to overexert yourself, my friend. The risk far outweighs the gain. Killing crabs isn't too much. I'm sure I'll be fine. And suddenly there's a whole bunch of quests here, including some ether current. I believe, anyway. Let's check. Oh, yes. Hail, finless one, and welcome to the Cups. Long have I wanted to converse with one of your kind. I am called Narosh Cole. How may I address you? Foxy Games. Curious. Before we speak at length, there is something I would show you. Let us leave behind the Cups and head due west. Come. Well, sure, we'll go ahead and follow, but before we do so, I want to pick up the next story quest as well, just in case they're out in the same direction. And we will speak with Y'shtola. Ah, Foxy, have you learned aught of note? Fascinating, and precisely the sort of information I was hoping to hear. In fact, if you have a moment, I'd like to borrow your eyes to confirm a theory I've been working on. Come. Let's see, was I right, or was I right? I was right. Okay, then let's head back outside. I know there's an ether current around here, now where is it? On the other side of this thing? No. Oh, okay. Am I being punked? Well, maybe it's down somewhere. There are relics of your kind. These are relics of your kind, yes? The leavings of a ship that sailed the seas above long ago. They lie as they fell, untouched by any Ondo, for most have little interest in the affairs of the Finless. I, however, do. Ever since I was saved by one of yours, after being washed ashore, weary and near death. Such kindness is a rare and wonderful thing, and I would know more of the people who have showed it to me. And so I ask you, Foxy Games, to teach me of your ways. These objects, for example, what purpose do they serve? How are they to be used? What, these are bottles? Nourish Cole gestures to the nearby debris, entreating you to inspect them closely and offer up a detailed explanation. Some rotting debris. It's bottles. Among the debris, you spy what appears to be remains of several shattered bottles of wine. Such fragile containers they were. I suspect they once contained something of great value. What can you tell me of their purpose? They were used to store intoxicating spirits, or they were used as makeshift weapons, first to bludgeon, then to stab. We could be mean, but nah. Fragrant liquids which cloud the mind. I have heard of these before. Do friendless ones so delight in dulling their wits? Excessively. How about this? Among the debris, you spy what appears to be a rotting ship's wheel. That was carved from the wood of one of your many trees, yes? What purpose does this peculiar contraption serve? It's used to steer a ship at sea, or fashion, you wear it on your head. No. Ah, the vessels your kind uses to traverse our waters. Then without a wheel, it is at the mercy of the wind and the currents. I see. Thank you, Foxy Games. In our short time together, you have already taught me so much. A pity that none of these pearls of wisdom will serve my needs. Narash, what are you thinking, wandering off on your own with this finless one? This is no time for you to fiddle with their leavings. The Clutch Mother is in terrible distress. No, you do not understand. I brought her here to... Pray forgive this childish impudence. I am Zerosh's own, and on behalf of the Clutch Mother, I come to entreat your assistance. It seems you do not realize that in driving back the waters of the Tempest, you have placed our beloved Clutch Mother, leader of the Undo, in mortal peril. She is pregnant. Here in the depths she will give birth to many, many eggs. We male Undo will then take them into our care and raise them as our own. But absent the flowing waters, we know not if she will be able to deliver them safely. If not, the future of our people will be in jeopardy. The Flood of Light claimed many Undo lives. Though we have rebuilt our numbers somewhat in the decades since, it would be devastating to lose an entire generation, or worse, the Clutch Mother herself. She wishes to speak with you directly, that we might together find a solution to this dilemma. Will you return with me to the cups? Narash, come. I will not let you trouble our guest or the Clutch Mother further. Everything I have done for her. Well, it might have been a useless sort of thing for him to bring us out here for, but at least it got us the attention of somebody we might be able to help. Let's see what Y'shtola wanted. Now there are two tasks I would have you perform. The first requires you to inspect the buildings which surround the Undo settlement and note their most distinctive characteristics. For the second, I wish you to use this knife to take scrapings from one of the remnant walls. Pray be as thorough as you can. I shall be waiting here for the results of your investigations. 'Tis strange to be here under the ocean. It seems a lifetime ago that we stood amidst the trees of Actica. Sure does, doesn't it? Well, oh, survey point right here. We have to inspect some stuff. A distinctive window. The tall, slender towers feature many elaborate windows, the likes of which you have seen nowhere else. How about over here? A mithril knife. Used to take a scraping. Why a scraping? Who knows. You set the point of the knife against the wall, but even after applying considerable pressure, you cannot remove so much as a flake of stone. Huh. Remarkably resilient, isn't it? And what have you discovered? Yes, I would agree that the windows are most distinctive. 'Twould seem the structures appear the same to both your sight and mine. And you say you could not so much as scratch the wall, even with all your might behind the blade? Foxy, everywhere I turn in this place, my gaze is drawn by peculiar materials for which I do not have a name. The buildings I had you investigate are prime examples. They may appear to be constructed of ordinary stone, but I assure you it is nothing of the sort. If pressed, I would describe the substance as a composite of several mineral properties, blended to create a material of unparalleled durability. Even the Runcan Empire, once the greatest power in Norvrant, produced nothing which compares to this level of perfection. But if not the Runcans, then who? Who were these ancients the Undo claim as the architects of their sanctuary? I suspect our answer lies with the reason Emet Selch withdrew here to the Tempest. He may simply have wished to retreat somewhere mere mortals would struggle to reach, but there are many such remote locations. Why here specifically? Emet Selch is devoted to his role, and thus we might assume his choice of stronghold somehow serves the Ascian agenda. Or mayhap, 'tis a place more dear to him than any other. Are you saying this was built by ancient Ascians? Or could this place provide power to Emet Selch, or I couldn't say either way. Let's go with the top one. It seems likely. That is my theory, that these structures are remnants of a time before history, of a star that was yet whole and unbroken. Such traces in the source would have been obliterated by the succession of umbral calamities, but here in the first they might have remained untouched for millennia. A copy of the mural in the Katana Ravel. Almet presented it to me during my visit to Fano after our victory in Kalusia. Here, in the first scene, by Emet Selch's own words, it depicts a city of eons past and the disaster which befell it. The design is much simplified, of course, but do you see the similarities between its towers and those you've just inspected? We are close to the truth, I feel. Let us search the surrounds for another tower, one which matches the picture near enough to remove all doubt. From what I have seen, not more than sand and more sand lies to the east. In the south held no such structures. I suggest we try our luck further to the northwest. You may review the Katana Ravel mural at any time during this quest by using the relevant item in the Key Items menu. The quest destination will not be displayed on the map. You must search for a structure which resembles the buildings in the mural and inspect it from the survey point. The survey point will be found nearby in a location which allows a full view of the structure. Well, that's awesome. I sure love it when I don't get quest markers. But that's alright. First things first, we're going to head back to the Undo Cups to finish up that little side quest. Beyond this gate resides the Clutch Mother. Approach and hearken to her words. Honored guest, I, Clutch Mother of the Undo, do bid you welcome to our realm. You will forgive me for receiving you in this fashion. For the safety and well-being of my children unborn, I must remain within, away from the dangers without. As you know, under normal circumstances, this place would be filled with blessed water, from which I would draw strength and support to bring these eggs into the world. Alas, I am but half submerged now, and I fear for my ability to fulfill my sacred duty. I am given to understand you and yours are the ones responsible for drawing back the waters of our realm. With good reason, I am sure. However, it is my sincere hope that you will agree to aid us, given that you are responsible for this state of affairs. Fear not, I desire no direct assistance. Rather, I would beg a boon of your people's knowledge, of childbirth and how the finless ones ease the burdens of their struggling mothers. Zerash-Un will be my agent in this matter. Heed his words and answer his questions. That is all I ask. Do you consent? I suppose. I thank you, honored guest. Go well. Then it is agreed. However, I must consult with her attendants before we speak further. For now, I bid you and Narish Cole go about your business, but be ready if called upon. Wait, Foxy Games. Have you a moment to converse in private, outside the cups, please? Oh, now what could that be about? 'Tis a rare thing indeed to be granted an audience with the Clutch Mother. I hope this serves to help you understand how important these eggs are to us. Before you came to the cups, I had been searching for a means to assist her in giving birth. That is why I have been studying the relics of your people. Unfortunately, I found nothing that seemed suitable for this purpose. I cannot stress to you enough how important she is to us. She is mother to all Undo, her every egg brother and sister. We would do anything and everything to welcome them into this world, and see them grow into healthy, happy Undo. There must be some way in which you can help us achieve this end. Well, I suppose we kind of did necessitate it. But we are going to have to worry about that in the next episode. So, here we are, under the ocean, standing on sand, with fish people. Not the place I had expected to be. But I will catch you in the next episode. Until then, my name is Foxy Games. Take care until the next one. Bye.